What's going on, everybody? This is the RGR Football Channel on YouTube. My name is Daniel Harms, film analyst, and today I have a very special guest, Laurie Fitzpatrick of the Touchdown Wire. You can find that over at USA Today. Pretty much just go to their Twitter page. You can find everything she does there. You can follow her at Laurie Fitzpatrick on Twitter. Please let everybody know pretty much just a little backstory about yourself, because I know that this is probably going to be their first introduction to you if they don't already follow you on Twitter. So just give them a little backstory.
Yeah, no. I played football while I was in college. I didn't play for a college team or anything. So, before everybody goes on Google and looks me up on a college team, no, I played women's professional tackle football. So I played for about 5 years, some different teams. Team up in North Jersey, went to Philly, even was on the practice squad of the lingerie team. So, I have my fair share of football. Of the different rules and everything, and we watch a lot of film, and we had NFL actual rules, not college.
Mhm.
So yeah, I kind of just started writing after I stopped playing, realizing how big film is, and there's not a big discrepancy between how you watch
Mhm.
film in women's professional football or college or even Pop Warner. I'm not sure how much they watch film, but it's all kind of the same. And I realized how much it actually can tell you a lot about the game. And I started, breaking stuff down just on Twitter randomly and kind of caught up steam. And, here we are today. So luckily I was able to play the game and I know a little bit about the background. And I played cornerback on defense, and I was a running back on offense, played a little special
Nice.
teams. So yeah, now I just write
That's
and break
awesome.
down
Well,
film. So
exactly. The big thing is really why we're here. We get to talk a little bit about the Chiefs film and how they're going to do this season. So that was really awesome. One of my favorite follows on Twitter, guys. Make sure you are following her. Not just like Jaguars specific stuff, but she does all NFL teams. It's a lot of fun. She does a great job there. So this
appreciate that.
yeah, no problem. This is going to be a very new experience for Patrick Mahomes in the Kansas City offense. It's going to for the most part, totally different. You still have Travis Kelce, but this offseason, Travis Kelce's number one guy, Tyreek Hill, that really helped him create some space in this offense, shipped off to Miami, no longer in Kansas City. They bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster. They draft Sky Moore. They bring in Justin Ross's UDFA. They bring in Rojo, Ronald Jones, the backup Clyde Edwardson, or possibly fight for the starting spot there. So as we look at this offense and the whole dynamic of it changing under Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, do you expect there to be? I guess I shouldn't say do you expect. We know there will be. What kind of growing pains do you expect early on in the 2020 season for Kansas City in the offense?
Yeah, I expect Mahomes to go through a little bit of issues when it comes terms of reading the defenses, and he can read defenses. Obviously,
Hmm.
he loves to extend plays. But he's more of he's a guy that can make something out of nothing. After those couple seconds that he's in the pocket, he has really good receivers that can mirror him. Tyreek Hill did. He did it a lot. He did that a lot, but also Travis Kelce did too. So I do think it's gonna be a little bit of an adjustment for the wide receivers that are new to the team, like Juju and MVS, and I think they're gonna find out real quick, how they can never give up on a play, no
Hmm.
matter what. Even when, they're at the top of their route, they're just as long as obviously Andy Reid has a plan. When I played, when my QB scrambled around, any receiver that was going deep, you come up. Any receiver that was coming up, shallow routes, they go deep. So just as long as, they get that down pack, I think it may take a week or two to kind of get that going. But I think they'll be fine overall.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've seen with even guys like Demarcus Robinson. As soon as Mahomes gets out, they know exactly where to go and how to extend plays and how to get themselves make themselves available to Patrick Mahomes. So definitely something they're going to have to work with Juju and MVS to an extent. I think with Aaron Rodgers, you bring some of that as well. So he probably has a better idea than Juju now that Ben Roethlisberger's mobility of the last couple of years, we'll just call it that, has really gone down the tubes. So
Mobility, what? No.
right, yeah, used to be just that guy that stands in the pocket, has guys fall off of him, and then just chucks it downfield. So, well, that's always one of the fun things about watching early Ben Roethlisberger. But
He became a throwing Jerome Bettis.
yeah,
Like
right.
guys just bounced off of him and he was just like standing there in the pocket. Like, you're too big to be doing this, but you're
Yeah,
getting it
right.
done. So let's just
It
do
was a
it.
lot of fun. I always respected that part of his game, just kind of being that almost beer gut type of quarterback. Just kind of you can't really tackle me, just fall off me, and I'll throw it downfield. But
Yeah.
we bring up the offense, we bring up the wide receivers there. This is a brand, like I said, a brand new look offensive wide receiver class. How do you think that this is going to mesh together with Patrick Mahomes? And most importantly, does it going to look similar to what we've seen in the past, or do you think that these wide receivers not just offer a more varied skill set, and does that actually help him grow as a quarterback this year?
So no, I do think it's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna be tough. So Tyreek Hill, I was watching some film even before this, before I jumped on, and Tyreek Hill, man, he was making something out of nothing, like almost
Hmm.
like every single time I watched the Chargers game, and right when they got oh sorry, right when they ended up getting like really bad field position off of a kickoff, and they were within the 5 yards of their own end zone, and he just kind of throws it to Tyreek Hill in a little bubble screen, and he just easily gets the first down. So they're gonna have to find that guy again.
Hmm.
And this is probably something that you talked about a bunch of times. But I think Sky Moore is gonna have to fill a lot of that role. I mean, I just think in the future, he's going to be that guy. I think he's ready to do it. I just don't know, like if Juju is going to be able to, because like you're saying with Ben Roethlisberger, how much did he have to do? Ben Roethlisberger is pretty accurate.
Hmm.
And he didn't have to make something out of nothing because Juju, if he was a little bit open, Ben could get it there. Um, I think they're gonna have to spread it around a lot more, like you're saying. But one piece of the puzzle that I do think is gonna work really well is Marquez Valdez Scantling. So he reminds me, and I know this is crazy, but he reminds me a little bit of a Deshaun Watson type of feel, where he has like the head fakes and when he's running that deep corner route or that deep post or just when he's getting downfield on a streak. And I think Andy Reid's going to have a lot of fun with him because he had a lot of fun with Sean back in the day. So
Yeah.
I think Mahomes is going to have to get used to uh in being more of the playmaker and kind of filling the role that Tyreek Hill used to play, but he's going to have to fill it with his arm.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've kind of talked about, the way that this offense is going to look. It's gonna You actually kind of touched off of it. He's gonna have to be more of a mental quarterback. He can make all the plays with his arms. We've seen him do it, and a lot of times it is just chucking it up to Tyreek Hill down the field and getting on the outside and doing that. But now we have this offensive line that Brett Veach has constructed for them the last year, and he has this ability to stay in the pocket and figure out how to get the ball into multiple different spaces. You have Marquez Valdez-Scantling to be that deep threat. You still have McCole Hardman, who's going to bring some of that as well. And now you have Juju and Sky Moore, who can actually get open against man coverage, things that Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson weren't able to really do when called upon last year. And that's what I'm most excited about, is seeing Patrick grow as a not just reading defenses, but getting through his reads and not relying on Travis Kelce and the first read Tyreek Hill to be the guy all the time. So I'm excited to see his mental aspect of growth. And that really kind of leads us into the next part that I want to get to. When you watch Patrick Mahomes, what's like the most fun thing, most fun aspect of watching him that you get to break down?
I think he loves to thread the needle, right? So
Hmm.
you're like, no way, he's not going to throw that, and he throws
He
it,
does it.
and he relies on his wide receivers. He trusts them. It's a big Kelsey thing, and it was a Hill thing. But I think that he's gonna put a lot. He's gonna put a lot of trust in his wide receivers to get it done because he is just amazing outside the pocket. His
Hmm.
off balance throws is just something that like wouldn't convert if you were watching him in NCAA. Like,
Hmm.
dude, there's no way that he's going to be able to do this in the NFL. and he does it. So that's one of the funnest things. Just like he's a player that plays outside the box.
Yeah.
So it's just he's just fun to watch, right? So yeah, I just like the chances that he takes. Last year though was a little bit of a struggle. He was doing that a little too much,
Hmm.
and that was why they started the season off bad. I think they were last in their division. In their what was that, the AFC West. So that was a little tough, but they fought through it. And that's because of his tenacity and the way that he's able to kind of thread the needle and make something out of nothing.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because we've kind of talked about all last year at the beginning. They started 1-2. That's something that Patrick Mahomes has never done. And defenses basically were like, yeah, we're not going to let you throw the deep ball anymore. You're just not going to do it. And he didn't like that. It was very obvious that he was trying to force things that usually were there in his first couple of years as a starter. And then as defenses got wise to it and they said, we're going to just sit back in our two highest safeties defenses and say, you got to beat us underneath. You have to go down the field like a traditional pocket quarterback against us if you want to beat us. And that was a very, he fought with himself. He and Andy Reid had this, but we can still figure it out. We have Tyreek Hill. We have McCole Hardman. We have speed. We have guys underneath that can do it. And they just didn't ever mesh that point until it seemed about halfway through the season, something clicked. So if you got through watching Patrick Mahomes last year, we all kind of watched him on TV, but when you watch him get through that point where the offense started to click, how do you think that he changed the way that he plays the game a little bit that helped unlock this defense, specifically against the Buffalo Bills defense in the playoffs?
Honestly, I think it was a little more in the regular season, right? So
Hmm.
team stopped blitzing him. They stopped pressuring him as much.
Hmm.
Um and so he really had to sit back in the pocket and trust his guys. And I don't want to not answer your question or anything like that, but I think it was more about the defense and what, Chris Jones, how he changed the position that he was playing,
Hmm.
and his defense suddenly they weren't putting him in bad positions. So he could take those chances and not feel like he was stuck out on an island when his defense couldn't make up for maybe the little bit of mistakes that he did or that he made. Maybe it was a little off target, or things like that. So I mean, I just think he didn't really change much. He was still taking those chances. I think the defense kind of stepped up a little bit more, and were able to kind of help him out when he needed it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely we've seen it with Steve Spagnuolo's defense over the course of the last couple of years. They start off slow. It seems like that's just a constant effort that they do start slow, and then around maybe like 2-ish months left in the season to start to get everything together. I mean, last year was a little different because Steve was like, "We're going to play Dan Sorensen because we can." It felt like he
Yeah.
was just like, I want to play him. But when Juan Thornhill was clearly the better safety to be playing there, they finally insert him in the lineup, move Chris Jones back to defensive tackle. Things kind of started to shift there, and they finally got things going. Nick Bolton takes a step forward and actually starts to play downhill in the run game. They got some nice games from him down the stretch. And then, like you said, I think that made him more comfortable as well because he didn't have to be perfect. He could take some more chances, and he did. While I think he grew a little bit as a get through his reads a little bit more and find some spaces, he definitely felt more comfortable. And maybe that also has to do with the fact that his offensive line, he started to understand them a little bit better. They got their chemistry down. He understood what their strengths and weaknesses were. So around that halfway through the season, they were just all kind of clicked. The defense helped them
Yeah.
out. He could be a little bit more risky with it and not have to worry so much and be perfect. And when you can do that, I think it 100% changes how a quarterback can play when they're comfortable, because that's the idea, right? When your
Hmm.
quarterback's the most comfortable, they can really let themselves play. And then we know Mahomes likes to have fun. He wants to have
Yeah.
fun. He has a ton of fun on the field, and when he's comfortable, he can do that. So
Hmm.
what the last part about Mahomes I want to get to is this season with the changes. We have Travis Kelce going for another unprecedented seventh consecutive season, I just think, this year with 1,000 yards receiving. And we have also Mahomes trying to get back to what he did in his first year starting with that 5,050 season. So who do you think the changes in this offense benefit more this season, Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce?
Who it benefits more? That's tough. If it's either of them, to be honest, I think it's going to make both of them work a lot harder. Um,
Hmm.
they're just, I think it's up to Patrick Mahomes to trust players. Um, I don't mean to talk about Tyreek Hill, right? Nobody wants to talk about him anymore. Like he's not in Kansas City,
Hmm.
but it's so difficult when I remember writing an article on his, Patrick Mahomes' struggles last year, and he was throwing no look passes when they were losing, and it was just
Hmm.
like he was escaping the pocket early. But he was giving it to Tyreek Hill to kind of make those plays. So now that they're no longer double teaming Tyreek Hill, Kelce is gonna maybe get those double teams. So it's definitely gonna be harder on him, and it'll be a little bit harder on Patrick Mahomes because it's just the adjustment that he'll have to go through. So I wouldn't say either of them benefit, but I would say Patrick Mahomes could maybe benefit more from like what what he's able to accomplish after Tyreek Hill is gone. So I think he has the like a better opportunity. I think with Kelce, Mahomes just gonna have to find that other guy
Hmm.
uh, to kind of open up Kelce again, because Kelsey's a monster, and so they're gonna double team him until they find that other weapon. So once they find him, and it'll probably be Hardman, but I can definitely see Sky Moore coming in there, and they'll have some four wide receivers out there. Andy Reid doesn't like running backs anyway, so I think they'll give it to Hardman on end arounds. They'll throw Sky Moore out there, and they'll have two slot receivers, maybe from bunch or stacked two stacked on each side or something crazy like that. So I think they're just gonna have to find that other weapon. I just see it being Sky Moore. Maybe I'm a little biased. I love that guy. I love the way that he runs routes. He gets open. He gets the separation. So I don't know. I see him being the man in a couple weeks. Into the
I'd love
season.
it. I would love for him to be that guy. I am a little bit more hesitant because I've seen what Andy Reid does with rookies and younger players, and the way that he typically wants them to learn everything before he really gives them a full plate. So I'm hopeful that he can do that. Everything I saw in college tells me that he can execute a playbook, he can execute a route tree to the extent of everything, and really do what this offense needs. Be more of a tough physical guy after the catch and catch through contact. Something that, if we all remember correctly, with footballs bouncing off everybody's hands last year when they were wide open, maybe Sky Moore doesn't have that issue this season to turn some easy completions into interceptions.
Yeah, his hands are like probably this much bigger
They're
than mine.
huge. They're easy 10.5 inch hands. He had the biggest hands in the draft class last year. That's insane.
I
For a
would
guy
love
his
to
size.
ask. I would love to ask either the GM or Andy Reid, like, or even Patrick. Hey, did you really draft him because his hands? Just be honest. Just
Just
be honest.
because. I mean, it had to have been up on their list. The dude's got great hands, and after all the everything that happened, really it was a debacle. We'll call it a debacle. Everything that was jumping off of Tyreek Hill's hands, even Travis Kelce's hands, they were just dropping everything last year. So I'm hoping that this new change of scenery with, well, they did add MVS, so MVS has some trouble hanging on to the football too. But at least Juju, and I think that Sky Moore can bring some sure-handedness to the team.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit. It's just the concentration for Marquez. Like
Yeah.
he's running and he's open, and you got Aaron Rodgers thrown to you. I remember when, like, I was doing the scouting academy and I did Marquez Valdez Scantling, and so like I watched so much of him,
Hmm.
and I just love that guy. It's just I think it's just the concentration. He really just needs to make sure that he has his head in the game, and it's tough to say like, okay, maybe he's with the Chiefs, so it'll be a little bit different, but you're with the Packers, so like it's like
Exactly.
you have the same opportunity. If anything, there was maybe a little bit more weapons around him where maybe he's like in fear of. I'm not going to say lose a spot or anything, but maybe there are some guys that can kind of step in and maybe take some snaps for him unless he really gets it together. But no, I think it'll be fun. Sky Moore is a breath of fresh air for Chiefs fans. That's for sure. They're
Definitely.
gonna see it. They're gonna see it.
I'm hoping. Like I said, never ever will root against players ever. Like that's my thing. I've said it multiple times this offseason, mostly because I've had contrarian takes about guys like Justin Ross. I'm hoping that he can contribute, but we don't know. We don't really know. We haven't seen him play in 2 years, really, at the top of his game. So I'm hopeful. I want Sky Moore to be legit. I think he's going to be the 4 starting off, and this is going to be a nice rotation, something that the Chiefs can really do well with the offense. And I'm assuming Clyde's going to be more involved in the passing game, but that's probably just because I'm a glutton for
No,
punishment, and Clyde's my guy, so I just don't want
no,
him to
he
finally
is.
use it properly.
No, I think he is. And you think of it, you look at Andy Reid, right? He's typical West Coast offense guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just look at how, LaShawn McCoy was used to, I mean, he caught out of the backfield. There's going to be times where, he runs a wheel route from the backfield and you're going to expect him to be open downfield and Mahomes just has to get it there because they have to spread the ball around this year. They have no choice. They have no choice. They have to see what they have. They have to run everything
Yeah,
and see what packages stick.
I agree with that. That's why I think it's going to be either his make or break year for Clyde. If he doesn't have the breakout, they don't trust him to do it, which by everything they've done, not bringing back McKinnon and not bringing back Darrell Williams, bring in a guy who's not a third down player in Rojo. He can't block. He can't catch the ball. It tells me that they might feel more comfortable with him in the passing game this year. So I'm going to hitch my wheel once again to Clyde because I was huge on him coming out. I do think he can be an impactful player in this offense. And the way that they have addressed the offensive line last year, we saw that holes are there. They can move. People move the crap out of defensive lines. They can get movement. So now it's up to him coming in, having a full healthy offseason, being healthy to actually take over and be that guy. So we're going to get to see, I would imagine early on, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire can actually take over and be the guy this year. With that said, how do you feel specifically about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the player?
I mean, I don't know. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's kind of tough to know. This is the year for him. This is the year he has to kind of make up for a little bit of the offensive weapons that Kansas City lost. He has to step up. He really has no choice. Um, but he's still young, so you just want him to have a 1,000-yard season. That's
Yep,
really
that's it.
what you're looking for. He's gonna get most of the touches. He's gonna get all of the touches mostly. There's not really anybody else back there that's gonna kind of split those. Yeah, I think you'll see him a little bit more on the back or out of the backfield, just kind of catching passes. But yeah, I think his junior year season is going to be the make or break year, just like how it is in quarterbacks. Sophomore, junior years where you're able to tell, okay, who is this player? And this is definitely Clyde's year. So he has to take it.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping maybe he loses maybe 5-10 pounds of real, not just gallbladder issues surgeries, but has a little
Oh my
bit leaner,
gosh.
give some of that explosiveness back that he had in college. The game's a little bit faster this in the NFL, so I'm hoping he can get some of that back. So let's flip over to 2020 and really look at Patrick Mahomes' landscape because he's always going to be top of the upper echelon quarterbacks in the NFL. Right now, I believe that Justin Herbert is the favorite to win MVP. If you're comparing Patrick Mahomes going into this season with a revamped offensive line against Justin Herbert, what odds do you give him to win an Super Bowl, or excuse me, an MVP trophy over a guy like Justin Herbert, who really has everything in front of him this year?
I think that he has a better chance because he's more proven. I think that people just want Justin Herbert to be amazing and to be better,
Mm-hmm.
and this is his year. And but how can you basically like put money on something or bet on those odds of something that you're not really sure of? Nobody's really sure of it. Yeah, we've seen how well Herbert throws the ball, but Patrick is more proven. Um, so I'm gonna go with Patrick because he's more of the safe bet. So if I'm gonna put my money on anybody, it's gonna be him. I'm not bashing Herbert in any way at all. I am not the optimistic type. If you don't give me facts behind it, if there's nothing like to solidify, okay, this is there's just no proof yet. So I think we're all hoping for Herbert to be awesome just because, he deserves it. He plays hard. He has all the tools, the skill
Mhm.
set around him, and he has a big arm, so he should be able to do it. But I'm gonna put my money on Mahomes. He's kind of in that like Aaron Rodgers type of feeling where he had to kind of tell everybody to calm down last year, like
Yeah.
just calm down, the whole Aaron Rodgers calm down press conference, where it's just like, I'm the magic man, I'll do it. It's Grim Reaper type of mindset, and yeah, I think no matter what, he's gonna be able to kind of climb to the top of that hill, and Herbert's gonna have to prove it. This is such an awesome division to play in.
Man, it's crazy. Like bringing in Russell Wilson, then bringing Devontae Adams for his college quarterback, Derek Carr. I think that's one of the coolest story points. Like I'm a guy who actually likes Derek Carr, and that's gets a lot of hate being a Chiefs fan and also talking about the Chiefs for a living. Like a lot of
Yeah,
fans don't like that, but I think Derek Carr is an underrated quarterback. Giving him an actual weapon could actually help him be an upper echelon kind of guy. When I say that, I mean like top 12. We're not getting crazy. He's not a top 10 quarterback in the league, but I think he can reach that status with a guy in Devontae Adams who, make no mistakes about it, is the best receiver, period, in the league. Just always gets
yeah,
open, everything. So this division is going to be probably the most cutthroat we've seen in any decade ever. Like it's going to be some of the best quarterback play. It's going to be some of the toughest defenses too, assuming that the Chargers stay healthy, which is always a problem considering something is in the water down there and they just find themselves injured every single year. I hope Derwin James plays a full season because I really like the player. He's just always hurt. So this is going to be Patrick Mahomes' toughest test as a quarterback in his entire career, period. This is the AFC, not just the AFC West, the entire AFC is laden with weapons and quarterbacks and defenses that are trying to stop him. What is going to
yeah.
be his toughest test this year, whether it be opponents he has to face or his own demons that might come up and haunt him this year?
No, I think it's the beginning of the season. His schedule is unbelievably hard. Um, the best part about it is maybe the AFC South.
Mm-hmm.
That they have the Colts, the Texans, the Jags, and the Titans, and obviously everybody kind of hopes the Jaguars kind of take a step forward, with their new coach. But other than them, the Titans, or I'm sorry, other than the Titans, that's the only thing that's going to help Mahomes throughout the season because every single game is tough. I mean, I think there's Seattle Seahawks,
Mm-hmm.
on there too. So that's not too bad. But I think the schedule, he's got one of the toughest schedules. So I just think it's him kind of getting out of his own head in terms of like game after game. He's gonna have to bring it
Yeah.
every single game.
That's a great point. It's something that never gets talked about because we kind of take for granted Patrick Mahomes is great, his greatness. He's just got that mentality, comes in and plays just his all out all the time. Staying in that mindset is one of the reasons Tom Brady is so well respected and why I have so much respect for him because he's going to be 45 this year, right? He's still trying to win another Super Bowl, having to keep up that level of competitiveness. I can't even imagine it. Like I can't understand how that wears on you physically and emotionally from having to keep that high level of mentally focused energy in something that
Mm-hmm.
is so physically demanding, so mentally demanding. And then on top of it, you have to stress yourself out being the best guy on the team. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
incredibly difficult.
Yeah, like this schedule is so tough. He's got the Cardinals, the Chargers, and then the Colts is kind of like the down, week. But nowadays you can't take it easy on
Mm-hmm.
anybody, obviously. Then you have the Bucks, the Raiders, the Bills, the 49ers, then the Titans. Then you have the Jags, Chargers, Rams, Bengals,
That's
Broncos.
the tough right there.
Like what? That half of the right in the mid
Mm-hmm.
season, when they're starting to figure it out, that's when you have the toughest part. Like it's gonna be tough for them, for sure. So yeah, I don't know. It's just him being able to kind of stay, in the zone. That's gonna be the toughest thing. And I like how you brought up Tom Brady. He plays him this year. So
Mm-hmm.
it's early on in the season, October 3rd. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I think
Yeah,
it's a 4:20 game.
I think you're right about that. They have, I know they have like 5 actual primetime games of this season, like they do every year now because Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I think that this is going to be not just one of the funnest years we get to watch Mahomes, because he's going to have to do something else that he's never done before, which is truly elevate the other players around him, not name Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. And while it's great to have the 2 elite players that he's had, I think that he's up to being the best quarterback and being able to elevate those guys. But from time to time, and I want people to understand, I don't dog on Patrick Mahomes. I'm trying to show that there are some times when he's got to rely on other players and he hasn't necessarily been able to do it, whether it's because he hasn't trusted them to do so, or they've been in the wrong spots. Like we've seen McCole Hardman be one of the bigger issues, not knowing where you are on the field. So he doesn't throw the ball all that much. That at some point, that has to be where you get this offseason, you get these guys together, show yourself that you are the leader that you show on the field, and tell everybody where they need to be. Like they have to collectively understand now that not just Mahomes, but the weapons that around him have to be where he expects them to be, because that's one of the things about Tom Brady. He gets the ball out so quick and so accurately because everybody in their spots are exactly where they're supposed to be at all times.
Exactly.
Offenses that flow like that can operate like that. And Mahomes, we know he likes to get deep in the pocket sometimes. He likes to hold the ball a little bit too long at times. So they want to go get this offense running. I think early in the season, it's going to be very important for them to just go play by play, just march down the field with executing perfectly. That's going to be the biggest part of coming out this season on the right page.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this on one of the last podcasts I was on, was, Tom Brady, there was something that he said one time and somewhere, I don't remember where, but he knows who he's throwing to before the ball is even snapped, because that guy is where he's supposed to be. And I think, Mahomes is going to have to take a little bit of that philosophy, like a little bit at least, like, come on, these guys have to be in that place. But what scares me is Marquez Valdez-Scantling, man. That's one of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers didn't even throw him the ball some of the times, is because he wasn't in the right spot. He's not running the right routes when he's shaded a certain way, or, they all have to get on the same mindset, make sure they know the playbook, ask those questions. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. Like Andy Reid is one of the, best player coaches. They should be able to, take on anything that he gives them, but don't be afraid to ask questions. Hopefully they are all on the same page, because they literally have to be. Mahomes has to take a little bit of that, Tom Brady philosophy. Like, this is where we're going to go. Like, I'm not going to extend the play, like, because we need to move the ball. We need to keep the clock going. I can't afford another, incompletion or drop or anything like that, because this guy is going to be here and I'm throwing it here. Like, they just, yeah, you're right. They just have to be on the same page. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But NVS, he does kind of scare me a little bit with that, because he does have that history. So hopefully they can get on the same page.
I am right there with you. This was awesome. I loved having you in. I'm hoping we can get to do this again some other time. But please let everybody know where they can find you, what you're going to be working on next, and how they can follow you.
Yeah, so on Twitter at Laurie Fitzpatrick, just put my name in regular, but I usually take the vowels out of the last name. But Laurie Fitzpatrick, and I'm also on YouTube, Ponytails Talking Pigskins. That's one of my video channels where I kind of just break down either certain plays, certain players, some draft picks, things like that. And on Touchdown Wire, it's a part of NFLwire.com. So you're able to kind of go in there, find my stuff. I usually put out a couple articles per week, and I'll release some videos about those articles that I'm breaking down. It's more of a film room vibe. So you can watch the videos and less reading. For you guys that don't like reading out there, I'm the perfect follow. I'm right here. I'm right here for you, the female, breaking it down every day. So yeah, YouTube, Twitter, and on touchdownwire.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part. And make sure, you guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that like, the bell, and the sub so you can continue to get all the best Chiefs information here at the RGR Football channel. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.